What is up, everyone? Welcome into the newest episode of Nuts and Bolts. We're going to skip all the music, skip all the fancy stuff. We're just going to hop straight into the show. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, especially if you're a Bolts fan. I'm here with my co-host, Tony Tucker, fellow Chargers fan. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing well. I am extremely excited about tomorrow. I've already put the first, 6 weeks behind me. All my energy, all my focus is on tomorrow and cheering in Sofi as loud as I possibly can be for them to get to 5-2 before the bye week.
Yeah, 5-2 before the bye week sounds about right where we expected them to be at this point in the season. It's just not the way we expected them to get to 5-2, but it is a huge game nonetheless. Because 4-3, 5-2 is a big difference. And like you said, the bye week's coming, and we need to get healthy. We need to get a couple guys some rest. We're going to talk about more about the injury report ahead of the game later on in the show. But first, let's start off with that Broncos game. Kind of went the way you were saying, Tony, a little bit of a defensive battle, maybe lower scoring than me and you were anticipating. Any takeaways from that game that we should highlight before we move on to week 7?
Mike, I don't really know if there's any takeaways. I think it's just the same things we keep bellyaching about with the offense and how just sort of vanilla and boring it is, that I look at a team like we're going to play tomorrow where Geno Smith he still takes care of the football. What up a fear. We were only 22 hours late for this episode, my brother.
Go ahead, fire him with you.
But like Geno Smith, I will probably watch take more deep shots to Tyler Lockett and DK tomorrow than we will get to see Herbert unleash the ball to Mike Williams downfield, right? Or Jason Moore or whatever wide receiver is healthy, which we'll talk more about that. So I think my only takeaway from the game on the other side was that the defense turning a corner, or was that rock bottom for the Denver Broncos offense? You know what I'm saying? Like, was that a sign of this defense showing its capabilities, or did we see Russell Wilson kind of lean on a hamstring injury to take a week off?
Yeah, and the only points they scored were on blown coverages. So the only points they scored was when the Chargers made a mistake. They didn't put together these long drives. They didn't march in the Chargers. They barely passed midfield on most drives. And yeah, like you said, either our defense is showing that it's next level and they're starting to gel, they're starting to click in that secondary with all the coverage pressure all the coverage that led to pressure on Russell Wilson in that game, or the Broncos kind of stink, which is what we've seen. And I think we're really going to get to see if Russell Wilson's a problem in the Bronco offense this week. I think we're going to get to see. Because even if they lose and they just look okay, the offense itself, then we'll know that there's something going on with number 3 and the weapons more than anything.
Yeah, too, because it's kind of like, it's like a nightmare matchup because it's at home. It's your backup quarterback, right? Like, they have no tape really on Brett Rippon, how he's going to look in this offense. And one of the things that you can do, have a little success against the Jets, I believe, if memory serves, is run the football against them. So if they do that, if they run the football and do some cheap play actions, their defense is good enough to beat the Jets at home. And then all of a sudden it's like the worst case scenario for the Broncos tomorrow is that they score 30 points offensively. No defensive touchdowns, but they excuse me, get the ball in on the red zone. I don't know. This isn't the Denver Broncos.
No, it's not. That would be great. I'm sure we'll talk about the Broncos tomorrow on Wake Up Call because people are going to be asking about Melvin Gordon getting the random star and Cortland Sutton, all that kind of stuff. Who should start? Who should sit? But a theory here. One more thing about the Broncos game. No one better question my coach for our defensive performance. It takes guts to bench a guy with $82 million. And my take on it is, yes, that was ballsy by Staley, and that seemed like that was the right decision by Staley. But unfortunately, this is also a problem and a knock on Staley because he handpicked J.C. Jackson to come to this scheme. We talked about it. There's a episode of All In where J.C. Jackson's meeting Coach Staley for the first time. He's like, look at all the notes. that I have on you. I know all your strengths and weaknesses. We didn't even know JC's major weakness playing in off-zone coverage. And it's getting to a point now where JC doesn't even look like he's playing that part of his game at an NFL level. And yes, it takes guts to just bench the guy that you just paid all that money. It does. And I think it was the right decision to bench him in that particular game. But they have got to figure out what it is. I think I know what the answer is, but Tony, what is your take on it?
My take is that you're a defensive head coach who led all these number one defenses. That was the reason why you got the job. You better figure this one out. And it better be relatively quick. If it takes some extra preparation during the bye week and even for tomorrow, because tomorrow is one of those matchups where it's like you have two players on the Seahawks who can beat you deep, who can be a problem for you deep. And then on top of it, even if you give them the third person where it's like Eskridge or Marquise Goodwin, like these are track level speed threats that they have that can go deep. And I think that's where we're seeing the majority of my concern, right? He was getting beat on some out routes by Amari Cooper the week before, but for me, it's just like, look at what the one thing he does better than anything else and have him do that. Like, let's get his confidence back. Let's just have him up there being big and physical and pressing at the line of scrimmage on a bunch of plays in a row where he can have some momentum going in his favor. Continuing to play him 10, 12 yards off the ball on all these plays, you're just allowing him to have more questions every time. He's like, okay, last time I messed this up. What if I mess it up again? You can't think that much playing football. You can't think that much playing pool, let alone playing a game as quick as football.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that you can take a look at what the Chargers defense looks like, what the secondary looks like. When we were sending all those blitzes at Russell Wilson late in the game, they got to a point where Staley and the defensive coaching staff, and I bet you the linebackers and Rush were saying it too. Every third down, we were sending the house at them. We were sending everyone at Russell Wilson because we knew that the receivers couldn't get any separation man-to-man on our guys quick enough. And we knew that Russell Wilson was just crumbling under the pressure of having to make reads in a very, very short amount of time with Drew Tranquil, K9, Khalil Mack, all these guys, even Derwin James off the edge on a few third downs, coming at you in full speed. So I think we need to go to that blitz in later downs, especially third and longs more often, get pressure on the quarterback, give JC the man coverage that's his strength. And I think that Staley should give JC the freedom to play at whatever level of the field he wants to play at, no matter the coverage. If he wants to come up and press in cover 3, I don't give a shit. You can press in cover 3. As long as he bails and gets back into his zone, that's all that matters to me. Press the receiver, get back to your zone, and cover anything else that might be coming that way. And I think that could help JC a lot, just coming up and playing at the line of scrimmage more.
Yep, I agree. I want to say one last thing about a takeaway from that game was that how bad the offense misses Corey Linsley. Like, whether it be the run game, the pass protection assignments, there was a couple plays where, like, you could just see they got to the line of scrimmage and the offensive linemen weren't even sure which pressure was theirs, which assignment, which player. And it's like, that's just young, inexperienced players that if you just had one more person, right? I think there was a few too many holds from Zion that also could have been probably prevented had they known, like, oh, I got Corey inside on this, and Corey's going to get a hand on him and still have his guy over. Like, we're going to be able to have that.
Yeah, and just recognizing where the pressure's coming from too, because the Broncos were blitzing like maniacs. They were running a bunch of stunts. They got a bunch of speed rushers over there. They're really good defense. And even down their middle linebacker, their backup middle linebacker Singleton was just all over the football field, flying around like a maniac. So yeah, that's tough to deal with when the center's out, and then when the second string center goes down as well, it gets even worse. And getting Linsley back, everyone's going to see it. It's going to be way better. It's going to be way better. The pressure protection, all that's going to be way better for Herbert, which was Herbert basically was just like trying to make what he can happen on every single play because he has pressure on every single play of that Denver game. Tyler Boyd. That's a tough sell. I don't think Cincinnati wants to trade Tyler Boyd very much. But we'll see. Athir, next week during the bye week, we're going to do a whole show just about the trade deadline. So just be ready for that episode. once we get past this Seattle game. But let's get into the Seattle game. I made the graphic for the injury report, but this is probably all out of date now. So I'm just gonna look over to my right. I got the injury report updated up until yesterday. To my right, so here you guys go. Keenan Allen is questionable. Brandon Staley said that he's trying to give it a go. I think Keenan Allen's gonna play on Sunday. I'm just praying and hoping and got my fingers crossed that he doesn't aggravate anything and he gets through the game healthy and gets into the bye week with another week to rest before we really unleash him on that Atlanta secondary in a couple of weeks. And then Dustin Hopkins is ruled out. That was kind of expected with the hamstring injury. I think Barolette is gonna kick again, right? So same,
I just call him the German Chevrolet.
yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Same kicker as before. It seems like he's very solid, under 35 yards. We have not tested any further. We'll see how aggressive Staley is on fourth down in that part of the football field in this game. And you go down here, Sebastian Joseph Day expected to play, but listed as questionable with an ankle injury for us. We're down Josh Kelly due to a knee. That was very unfortunate. We're down Josh Palmer. Oh, but we're going to get to see Isaiah Spiller's debut because of the Josh Kelly injury. We're down Josh Palmer because of a concussion. That's just unavoidable. Down Donald Parham Jr. because of a concussion as well. Go down to the Seahawks here, guys. Penny Hart, wide receiver, depth wide receiver for them. He's doubtful to play. Probably not going to play. Guard Gabe Jackson has a knee and a hip injury. He did not practice all week, did not practice on Friday. He is doubtful to play. Tyler Lockett, dealing with a hamstring injury himself, has not practiced all week, but he is listed as questionable, so he's probably going to try and play in this game. Cornerback Artie Burns, one of their more experienced corners in that cornerback room, did not practice all week. He's doubtful to play. Quarterback Isaiah Dunn, I think he's kind of a depth corner with a hamstring. He's out. And let's see here. That's it. Oh, another cornerback, Sidney Jones, groin injury, was limited on Friday and is questionable playing this game as well. So a lot of injuries in the Seahawks secondary, a lot of injuries in the Chargers wide receiver room. We're going to see a little bit of Michael Bandy versus whatever third-string Seahawks corner gets on the field for Artie Burns. What are you thinking about the injuries, Tony, and which ones are you most concerned about?
As far as like injury concerns on our side, I mean, I guess maybe just whether or not Keenan plays is like the only one and how effective he is, because the other wide receivers, whether it be Parham or Palmer or whatever, they're not doing anything that's really being that effective. Although on the two passes that Palmer did catch, they were down the field throws, which you and I kind of joked about is like they're allowing deep outs for Donald Parham, but yet there's no deep outs for Josh Palmer. Like there's nothing more than 5 or 7 yards down the field for Palmer, except for the first play, which he hits his head on the ground and clearly shows signs of being a little frazzled from that hit when he gets up and fixes his helmet and then plays the entire game, ends up in concussion protocol later. I thought was kind of strange. I hope the young man is okay. I'll still be sporting his jersey tomorrow. And, hope that he spots me, gives me a little point, a little shout out. Right back at him. There it is. Canadian Spider-Man taking over the world. Your microphone's muted. I can't even speak. Goodness. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Maybe they'll see you in pregame warm or something. I'll wave up to you. But yeah, guys, we will be at the game tomorrow. Keenan Allen jersey, Josh Palmer jersey. Keep an eye out for us. If you want to say hello. And then as far as the Seahawks, I think that the biggest one has to be Tyler Lockett and Gabe Jackson, two starters. Of course, Gabe Jackson key to their protection. And I think Khalil Mack is going to have a good game tomorrow. So they do have to play both rookie tackles who've held up this year for the most part. That's a key. That's the injury report, guys. Let us know if there's any more concerns you guys have in the comments. We're obviously watching Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a huge factor in this game, whether he plays or not. Let's get into the keys to victory. Athir's already left his, Tony, so let's see what he said. He said, my key to the game is we need balanced offense, 150-plus rushing yards, 250-plus passing yards. Defense and our D-line needs to dominate the struggling Seattle O-line. Tony, you got any keys to add to Athir's?
Yeah, I would. The one thing I really liked overall was the defense, but I felt really good about a lot of the third and shorts and getting off the field. And I think that is something where if you can string together successful outings like that, it really helps to win football games, and it's like finding ways to limit Geno's ability to use his legs when a play breaks down. He's not super athletic, but he will pick him up there, like making sure that whether it's screens out of the backfield to Walker or DJ Dallas or somebody like that, that they're shutting that kind of stuff down, and continuing to stay aggressive on those plays, right? 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, or shorter. They were still bringing pressure when the pass look was being presented. So I would love to see that sort of stuff continue, and I think that is a huge, key to success. Winning time of possession and getting the ball back to Herbert is those 3rd and shorts.
Yeah, I like that call because Geno Smith might be the most mobile quarterback that we faced this year so far. We'll see how the defense does against mobile quarterback. Our linebackers are both generally athletic, but it comes down to game plan, really, when you're playing a mobile quarterback on how well you defend the run when he does decide to scramble around and take off. My biggest one, Athir, and everyone else in the chat and tuned in is just capping off these drives, man. I'm surprised the mainstream hasn't brought it up yet. Chargers have been awful in the red zone the last 2 games, like brutally awful. We need to finish these drives when we get on the other side of midfield with touchdowns. We can't keep kicking field goals. We can't have 4-3 field goals in this game and expect to come out victorious unless the defense absolutely dominates this offense. Seattle can score. We can expect them to score 21, 24, 27 points, and maybe if it turns into a shootout, even more. So the offense has to finish these drives with touchdowns. We got to be more creative in the red zone, lock in, and get it done. A lot of it's been like we get down to the 15 and we get a holding penalty or something that makes it 2nd and 20 or 1st and 20 to start the red zone possession.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would love to see higher. I think Popper was questioning a little bit of the red zone stuff with Herbert and whatever, and he feels like the operation's been good. Like that's the thing is we got another hopefully 18 years of Justin Herbert giving us absolutely nothing at the podium, right? And it won't really matter as long as, the law of averages will bounce out. This team will be more successful in the red zone than it will not. But even that, like even a successful team over the entire year is, touchdown conversion rate is what, 55, 62%? It's like that's like a super successful conversion rate. So I look at it from this standpoint. Avoid the turnover in that area, but we still need Staley to realize points matter. Like, let's go ahead and kick those field goals.
Yeah, and I just feel like the Chargers, that should be a strength for us because we have players like Eckler. We have players like Mike Williams who should each get a touch, a target, whatever you want to do in the red zone. If we get down to the 10-yard line and we got 3 downs to score, I want 2 of them. 1 to Eckler, 1 to Mike. They can get creative with the 3rd one because these guys are so good when the field gets smaller and things get closer and things get tighter. You need that receiver that can make the catch with the guy on his back. You need that running back that falls forward for that extra yard to fall into the end zone. And I feel like we need to get the ball to those guys more in the goal line area. They'd be throwing out some random plays sometimes. I think Keenan Allen will help out.
Hurry up bullshit, Mike.
That hurry up thing doesn't make sense to me unless it's a hurry up situation.
Yeah, it looks bad. It looks desperate. I don't like it. It doesn't ever work. The defensive line just gets to time it perfectly and bat the ball down half the time.
It has not worked yet. It has not. And Palmer
last week on the Eckler touchdown.
Oh yeah, you're right. Palmer was open on that one batted pass, so that could have been a touchdown right there. But here we go. We got our bold. We did recover a fumble this last week.
I know. Finally, I haven't seen you since we did a Tillery chant. He got a sack that last.
Tillery.
That's the last time he did something good, and maybe the only time this year.
And we didn't recover that fumble either.
No, I employ everybody to just watch the game one time, watch it for yourself and enjoy it, and then go back and watch all of Jerry Tillery's snaps.
That was just such a heads-up play by Taylor on that punt return, and we talked about it, and they've broken it down a couple times on the analysis. But he had the wherewithal to know the rule that this guy has to come up and block you before you can make contact with him. But once he does, shove him into the returner. Who cares? He's blocking you.
Yeah,
Beautiful
great.
stuff. Beautiful
Love
stuff.
to
All right,
see it.
let's get these bold predictions done, Tony. Athir's got his in here. This is a very bold prediction. JC, 3 broken up passes, 2 interceptions, plus a pick 6, and the Chiefs lose to the 49ers 27-23. If this happens, Athir, dude, I'm gonna be celebrating when I get home tomorrow from Sofi.
If this happens, Athir's getting a statue in my background here. I'm gonna have an Athir statue. It's gonna,
Ice sculpture.
yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I would just want JC to play effective football for 4 quarters and gain some confidence. I don't know, all the stats will come. He's too good not to, right? And I think that if he's not succeeding at a certain point, that's a little bit of a look on. It's not like if you get a rookie and they don't succeed with you, right? Like any of these rookies we draft this year, and they don't succeed. That might be on the rookie. Who knows? They'll end up on another team. We can find out. We already know that JC can ball because he did it in New England, and that's why he got the money. So if he doesn't succeed here, that's on the coach. My bold prediction for this game is that the Chargers are going to put 41 points on the board. Like, I don't know who's getting them, how it's going to work, a defensive score or special teams or whatever it is. But I'm expecting fireworks offensively, defensively, special teams tomorrow. Is that there are 40 points put on the Seahawks defense tomorrow. And I believe that this is possible. I don't care how good Tyreek Woolen's playing. I don't care if it's the revenge game for Chanowosu and who's the DJ Reader? Who's their safety? I always mix up.
They have Quandre Diggs.
Quandre Diggs.
Yeah. But they're not playing amazing. Like, if you go and look at the totals this year, I think Seattle's bottom 5 defensively in basically everything. So we should be able to move the ball on them. That shouldn't be an issue. It's crazy because my bold prediction, Tony, was a defensive score of some sort. A pick 6, a strip sack, something in there. I just feel like Geno Smith's going to make a big mistake in this game at some point. And that might be the difference in the game, or that just might be a pile on the lead that we hopefully have. Here it is right here. I was thinking Khalil Mack's strip sack was what I was thinking. He's got a couple strip sacks already this year. We haven't really turned him into turnovers. He got that tip pass from Russell Wilson last week. And if he catches that, man, and stays on his feet, Khalil Mack's running up the sideline with Russell Wilson trying to tackle his ass. So hoping for it this week. I think a defensive score is going to be my bold prediction. Score prediction, Tony, I'm going to go with 38-27. I always give us 10 points. 38-27 Chargers. Just came up with it.
No, that's similar to me. I'm going 41-27. We're getting, 68 points in this game. Going to be exciting one to be in the building for, right? It just
be there.
a lot of points and action. And I think the thing that I would love to see the most is that some of these points that I'm projecting them to score come in sort of a prevent style defense, where it's just like you're just giving him 8-yard completions and seeing if he can make them. You're only rushing 3 and you're just trying to extend the game, like make the game go as fast as you can. Not extend it, sorry. Like to just speed up the game. Let's get to the end. Let's get to this bye week with as many healthy bodies as we possibly can. But I just think tomorrow has to be the game where going into the bye week, for me to feel good about the offense, this is the home game and the defense you want to see it against. Athir, hurry up and get that question in here.
Yep, put up those points. But yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I'd rather the Seahawks be forced to air it out with Geno Smith, make it hard on them, make them make plays. And if they do, they do. And it's a close game if they do. Then just let Kenneth Walker run all over the football field. That's so frustrating to me, seeing the running backs go all over the place. And we did really good against Denver. I feel like we did really good at least. So,
and I think that's something that Pete's going to try to exploit. Like Kenneth Walker is really good. And
there isn't much tape on him, so it's not even like our front seven, our linebackers can really dig in. Like, what has this guy done in his NFL career so far? It's only a couple games, and what he's done is made some big plays happen. So, he's strong, he's fast, you got to get on him before he gets a full head of steam.
Go look at his highlights at Michigan State. I'm sure he probably even had a couple at Wake Forest when he was there before that. He's a really good player. I watched him in a couple games at Michigan State, and I was like, oh man, how cool would it be if this guy was a Charger? And then they're like, Kenneth Walker's a second round pick. I was like, there's no way they're taking a running back in the second round.
Great 1-2 punch with him and Eckler. Imagine that. That would be crazy. If they're saying, what's wrong with their fans keep talking about Sean Payton? They are taking drugs. Well, they're talking about Sean Payton because Sean Payton is talking about us. Sean Payton was at the game on Monday night in a suite watching. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know he was at that game.
Yeah, he was there.
He was at the Saints game too. He's just going around. He's like, because he said he does want to play in a warm place, right? He wants to coach in a warm city. So Arizona, that's a pretty warm city to be there. Plus, you can also hide under the guise of watching my former team, the Saints, right? Like you can hide in that. The one with the Broncos and Chargers, I didn't know he was there, but that's great for them. Here's the issues with Coach Staley, and I have said so many times how I try to stick up for this guy, and personally, I really like him. He just seems like such a great leader and family man, and the kind of person that you would want to be your friend. I don't know if I want him as a head coach, right? Because there's not a ton of consistency in the way he talks about things and then the way he provides those actions on the field. Like sometimes it just feels like he's going to be a renegade to be for the sake of being, this outlaw. But there's also, when I look at it, nobody who's doing what he's doing is successful. They're all out of jobs. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. And you have what every coach wants, which is a generational talent at the quarterback position. And yet we don't see that doesn't seem to be the focus. So I will continue to root for Staley and I want the team to win. I just don't have any faith that when it comes down to it, it's going to be like he's going to be the difference maker for us. He's a defensive head coach who is now 20-something games into his career, and the defense is still ranked in the bottom of like every major category. Like we're even talking about like plays over 12 yards, passing plays over 16 to 20 yards. It's like everything, every metric, he just seems to be last place. And his marker is that of a defensive head coach. He's allowing Joe Lombardi, for whatever reason, to run hitches all game long. He's dressing Jerry Tillery every week, where if you watch it, it's like, how is this guy getting meaningful snaps when he's literally sacking Khalil Mack on a play? Like, we and Mike are watching it. I'm like, he's getting up and celebrating for tackling his own dude. Help Khalil off the ground. Allow him to save some energy. The fuck? And Athir, you said something about Tyler Boyd. He's not the guy we want. He can't stretch. Tyler Boyd can't stretch the field. He's a lesser version of what we already have in the slot in Keenan. Like, we don't want Tyler Boyd.
Way lesser. I don't think Tyler Boyd's the answer. I do think that they could make a move on receivers. They could make a move on some DBs, maybe a linebacker if they really want to. But
we'll talk about it on the bye week show. Like
exactly, that's what I was about to say. We'll be back next week, everyone. Come on back Friday night, 5 p.m. We're gonna have a little bye week / trade deadline show. I think the trade deadline is next week or the week after. I think it's
I don't know.
This week to have a bye week because the trade deadline is coming up quickly. So whatever assessment needs to be done to pull the trigger on one of those deals. We saw Robbie Anderson get traded like basically the next second after the Carolina Panthers put him on the trade block. So I think that there could be a chance that the Chargers make a move here at the trade deadline on somebody. We'll take a look at some of the possible players and bring them to you guys next week. Tony, any last words before we sign off?
No, thank you, Athir, IB, and anybody else who watches this in the replay. We appreciate you. Bolt up. Let's get to 5-2 and celebrate.
Get your Navy Blues on, everybody.